Lori's making a spin on a Latin favorite, Pabellón, as Senator Soto gives his spin on healthcare. It's all happening right now on Live with Lori.
Thanks for staying with us. Today we are here with Senator Soto. We're making Pabellón, which is Venezuelan vieja ropa, and if you're Venezuelan, please forgive me, it's kind of the same thing. We've got our meat cooking, we've got our rice cooking, our beans are done, and we're going to fry some plantains. And
yay!
You told me you've never done this.
I've seen it done many times, but never done it myself.
You know what? It's super easy. It's super easy. I wanted to ask you, while I cut this up, about a bill that you did with the it had to do with firefighters and their families and insurance, if I'm correct.
Right.
Can you explain what that was?
Yep. It was brought to my attention that families of fallen firefighters, if they pass away in a training exercise, actually don't get the normal death benefit and health care insurance that they would get if a firefighter passed away in any other line of duty. And when I heard about this, I couldn't believe it. There actually had been 2 deaths in Osceola in the past 10 years and 1 in Volusia County. And a lady by the name of Kristen Curry, her husband, John C. Curry, passed away just this way. And it was a dramatic affair, more than I've ever seen on any bill I've been on. We fought all year long, thought it wasn't going to pass on the last day of session when I walked in, thought it was not going to pass, and then we passed it in the last hour with the help of a lot of people.
I got to ask you, who would oppose a bill like that? I mean, obviously these are firefighters, they're training. Who would oppose something like that?
Well, a lot of times it's not about opposition as much as time. In the legislature, we could have 3,000 to 5,000 bills that go into session with only time to really do 200 to 300. And there's a good reason for that. We don't want to have the legislature up there too long and put too many laws forward because we have to follow them all. But it was really a victim of time, and people thought, well, maybe next year, because we had been so advanced into session that we weren't entertaining any new bills at that point. So I had to amend it on to another bill, and we passed it in the last hour. It was incredible. Kristen Curry was up there with their son, Owen, and it was just tears of joy and just an amazing scene.
I happened to be in Tallahassee, and I was there for that, and that really was, it was very emotional. It was one of those moments where you're like, wow, this is government. This is what government is supposed to do.
Right.
Can you do me a favor and stir that real quick?
Sure, it'd be my pleasure.
I'll tell you how you cook these really well. You get, about ½ an inch of oil. You get it really hot, and then you lay these out clockwise. Now, I know this sounds kind of weird, but when you put them in, that way you know which ones are done. You just go right around this. A line cook taught me that. Isn't that cool?
Kind of like when you're screwing the tires, the bolts to a tire back, you want to do it rotated wise.
Okay, so yeah, I can cook. I can't change a tire, but
yeah,
I get the principle. That bill was desperately needed, and
right.
I'm sure that the families thank you for that. It's kind of one of those no-brainer things.
Right, and it's a testament and a story of empowerment. A young woman, a young widow who wouldn't say no, and just throughout session came up week after week. And I really give her a lot of credit for helping pass that, as well as the many firefighters who got there in their gear. They were out there in the hallway, and man, those guys know drama like nobody else. It was amazing the pressure they put on, and we got it done despite all the odds against us.
Well, folks, that just proves that one person really can make a difference. So if you think that something needs to be changed, don't think that you can't do it because you're just one person. You can. We're talking about, firefighters and insurance and stuff. Let's talk about healthcare, because you're on the, you've been assigned to the committee that is the Affordable Care Act and Patient Protection Committee. I think I got that right.
Yep. And it's going to be one of the big issues that dominates session this year is, now that the president's been reelected, whether or not the state will adopt state exchanges versus federal exchanges. And let me explain that a little for the folks who are watching
I wish you would.
Basically, these exchanges would provide private insurance through a market run by the state of Florida, or if the state of Florida doesn't opt to do it, the federal government will run it. So a bunch of insurance companies would provide different types of insurance, and then you could go onto one portal through the government to pick which private insurer you'd want. Now, if we don't do it, the feds would adopt it anyway. So you're seeing a lot of people, including Governor Scott, go from never, not in a million years, to now saying, well, maybe we might do it, because I think they want to have some part of that.
Yeah, well, if the state doesn't do it, they don't have a say.
They wouldn't have much of a say. Now, a lot of the other provisions of the Affordable Care Act have already gone through. Your children can be on your insurance up to 26 years of age. You can't be denied according to a pre-existing condition, and it's closing up the donut hole for seniors. But the biggest issue is, and there's a lot of different ways that they're debating doing it, is, a lot of people say healthcare is broken, and the reason for that is because folks can live their whole lives, not pay any health insurance, go to the emergency room, and cost society hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. When you look at people driving, we wouldn't let people drive without insurance, and then they get into an accident and blame everybody. So
right.
This is just one method to incentivize and in certain circumstances penalize people for sitting there and not taking care of this responsibility of their health care.
Whether you agree with it or not, the Health Care Act is here to stay. So let's find a way to make it work for everybody.
Absolutely.
And do you know what's coming up?
I have no idea.
Well, stay tuned, because we're going to ask him our feature question when we come back.
Don't go away. Lori asked Florida Senator Darren Soto her signature question when we come back on Live with Lori.